Just to let you know that, Deacon, this thing looks like this might happen. I just don't see any other way they can go. It's like a checkmate move on the economic board. They got to add two or three complex political and economic variables to the equation, or we start to go into collapse. Which, by the way, the stocks in Japan, I mean, like almost 20% in less than 30 days. It's bad. It's bad. But anyways, you back, Deacon? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Just an FYI, we are live now on YouTube again, and which is cool. Thank you very much to Nighthawk.
Yeah, I'm not getting any. I'm not getting any video from you, Deacon.
You're not. I've got my. Getting an echo.
Try restarting the video.
Okay. All right. So, see if you can see me now. I've got my Skype on and camera on, and you should be seeing me because I see it on Skype. Unless you'd like me to call the YouTube back or something. You know, I've been doing some research, and do you know that the Saudis have a 35,000, is it 35 or 350,000? Probably 35,000 troop army that they're doing maneuvers with a Saudi army, and they're threatening to invade Syria to so-called go after ISIS and that type of thing. And it's just incredible to me that while all this stuff's going on, we may be looking at World War III. The other thing, we'll throw that out there. The other topic is CERN. I've been doing some research on CERN, and apparently even the scientists who have published in their white papers and peer-reviewed papers are making statements about this contacting other entities type of thing. Not sure why the video is not coming through because I see it on the Skype call here. My video is
I
on.
see you, Deacon.
Okay, so yeah, so maybe it's something on that end that I can fix. But you know, let's stick with. So Trump is following your playbook and talking about infrastructure and that type of thing.
Yeah, infrastructure, jobs, trade deals. He's even talking about economic teams. He knows the best in the business. He knows the sharks. He says you even want to use those guys. Even though they play dirty, at least they're going to play dirty for the advantage of America. He's talking Icon now. Carl Icahn has endorsed him. He's got a lot of big endorsements. He's going to events throughout the South. He went to one Baton Rouge last night, which he gave a pretty good speech. He had little children. You know, they all said, we want Trump. We want Trump. Anyways, they backed off. But these little kids, you know, of course, being kids, they like the little rhyme or whatever. And so you hear all these little kids say, we want Trump. We want Trump. He says, isn't that beautiful? Young people. Let me see them. Let me see these beautiful children that want Trump. I mean, this guy's on a roll. He's just thoroughly enjoying himself. He's just racking up the numbers as he goes. But no, he knows what all Americans want. They want the money. They want jobs. And so that's his card. So he's mixed it with a populist type of a conservative, populist, moral, a tinge of a Caucasian there. I mean, he's working up. I can see how he's putting the chemicals together. He's forming up his platform. So he's pulling it together. Now it's going to come down to really the world economic. They saw what's happening in Japan, China, Singapore, all of Asia, Vietnam, doesn't matter where you go. They hauled ass for the U.S. markets and the European markets. So it was like balloon, which a real good person that would have a good analysis of this is going to be. Are we coming through, Deacon, or did we just?
Yeah, no, we're live. We're live.
Okay, well, it's going to be V the Gorilla. He's got an economic think tank every Friday in 2 hours. And so last week he was sick. He had the flu, and they stuck some love and light. I mean, completely opposite of V's show. He doesn't go 10 feet near this kind of shows, but he would know why the markets, why they're collapsing in Asia, and how all that energy got transferred to our markets and the European markets. So 2 hours, more than 2 hours, about 2.5 hours. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, V will be on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Studio A, so you might want to listen to him. We did have a meltdown in the stock market the past couple of days, somewhat here, but also particularly overseas, like Hijacker was saying. And gold has gone up quite a bit. Looks like he's fixed the live stream. Let's see if we're live now. I'm going to refresh my browser over here with the YouTube channel to see if we're live. And, okay, we'll let that load. But anyway, the other issue, oh yeah, we're live. There we go. Okay. And today is Casual Friday. I have some casual clothing on today. There we go. That's me. I've got my my hat on and a casual shirt. But in any event, Hijacker, I don't know what your feelings are on this and how this would play into Trump and where we're at with Obama politically. But I listened to there we go. My Skype messages were up there. Okay. How do you? I listened last night to Stuart Rhodes. Nighthawk had a live feed going on. There was a call between a Revolution Radio host, a retired sheriff in Kentucky, and also Stuart Rhodes, and talking about the Bundys and that type of thing. And apparently now some people are thinking that the FBI is trying to arrest as many of the people involved with the original Bundy Ranch protest, as well as the most recent one. And how do you see the militia and the Patriot movement and the Oath Keepers and folks like that and alternative news media lining up with Trump? Or does Trump have any how would he deal with that type of thing, and also the 7,000 kingdoms?
Well, personally, I think Trump's got it right. Go for the big thing. I don't understand the strategy of what Bundy did on this second round. I just don't. I don't get it. If they knew about world politics, the economics, they can see. Look, you got this temporal type of deal with the land. You're not going to clear this up unless you get something like a Donald Trump right in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to happen. But if you're saying that they're going to go back now, all the pictures and stuff and names they got from the people in the Bundy Ranch, and they're going to try to roll them up, then there will be blood, because most of those people that are that aware, they know that if they go to a federal penitentiary now, that they will never get out. Once this economic implosion goes into collapse, and they do fire up the FEMA camps, whether it's to feed the poor indigent or the minorities who got no place to go. Anyways, once we go into that macabre, which I'm trying to stave off, that's why I'm pushing Trump, because we can delay that judgment at least 3-4 years. But these patriots know once they go in and economic collapse does happen and the country does get shattered into all these different kingdoms, they're never coming out. And so a lot of those people are going to say, oh, you got my name on a warrant? Well, okay, I'm not going anywhere anymore. unless I got unless I'm armed with firearms. There's no FBI going to pick me up in the parking lot of a Piggly Wiggly. It's not going to happen. Where I'm going to be thrown in the cage. Um, so I don't know what the FBI is trying to provoke here, but um, and some of those guys are going to go on the run automatically. Um, I mean, it would be tantamount to Hillary winning the presidency. There's going to be a whole lot of guys that just disappear or no longer sleep at home at night. Um, it's just going to change everything. So I don't know what the FBI is doing here, but that's going to set alarm bells off. Just not with the people that are involved, but overall. I mean, I'm not getting that strategy unless they're trying to provoke,
Mm-hmm.
like a patriot uprising or you know patriots trying to. Uh, I don't get it, Deacon. I don't get. Go ahead.
Right. Well, I don't know that it was probably the smartest thing for them to do. I don't know that they had the moral high ground because they showed up on. I don't know if it's federal prop. I don't know. I'm not even sure what the legal status is, but you showed up on public property, whether it's federal, managed by the federal government or Bureau of Land Management or the state or the local county. I'm not sure, but they occupied that with weapons, and that probably wasn't so. So they really don't have the moral high ground to make some of the claims, and they ended up getting arrested because what they were doing was apparently illegal. But I don't know about the Patriot movement. Now, let me throw this out at you over here. This is over at All News Pipeline, right? Um, and this is an article by Stephen Stanford. This president has done so many things that are contrary to the interests of the safety and security and prosperity of the people of the United States that this is no surprise. He's opening the door. There's not even going to be a guard to watch who's coming in. Do you think the radical Islamist terrorists have declared war on our country and murder us at any chance? You think they don't see this? They have already got a lot of people here. What the president is doing is going to increase the level of criminals that are coming here from other countries and terrorists who come here specifically to hurt Americans and kill Americans. Now, that was said by California Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, right? And so I guess the question is, what's the strategy here? Does Obama really want to take down the country, or what are we doing here? And when we get back in a moment with the hijacker, we'll answer that question.
Listen, Freedom Floats. We'll be right back with this message. All right, just gonna stand by. We run our breaks for our other hosts here, but unfortunately, every time more than 6 notes of music gets out, this Mexican company tries to do a copyright flag on my shit, and then they slap their ads on it for 4 or 5 days until I win the the counterclaim. I always win the counterclaim, but they managed to get their ads on all my videos for 5 days before I could make my videos even go up. So interesting, eh? As I said, we're working our way through a break, so it takes about 5 minutes. Just be patient. The YouTube bot sucks. It CP flagged me, and where it said it was a CP flag, I went to it. And it was me and David talking about nothing while we were waiting for somebody we lost connection to come back. It's just ridiculous.
Revolution Radio Saturdays for Voices on the Wind with me.
To yourselves, because we know who they are and what they do. This is what they do, and we must fight back. You can torture us and bomb us. Fire is catching. And if we burn, you burn with us.
Good evening.
Are you awake yet? I hope. We've tried for years and years to use passive resistance and loud voices to make a change. But time is over. Your governments around the world have no other goal than to decimate your entire existence at the hands of the bankers and the elites. The war is coming, and it's your choice to decide if you want to be a warrior or a victim. Denial is not a choice anymore. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Cleaning house. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hey, welcome back. Deacon John here. I've got the hijacker on, and we're actually broadcasting live now on YouTube. We've got the live stream, live feed up, which is pretty cool. And we said it's Casual Friday, so we're not all dressed up today. We got a ball cap on and casual shirt. But the hijacker was giving some updates on Trump's program for rebuilding the infrastructure of America. And I was just reading an article over at All News Pipeline that basically says that Obama is allowing, he's a Trojan horse. He's allowed the back door open that the radical terrorists and ISIS are here, and the fact that that he wants this on purpose. This is something that this is his agenda. He wants to bring the country down. Oh, and by the way, don't forget, we are listener supported at freedomslips.com. So if you head over to our website, that is freedomslips.com, and make a donation, we'd appreciate that very much. Now, returning to the article, here's what Trump said. If you don't treat the situation competently and firmly, yes, it's the end of Europe, referring to the Muslim migrants in Europe. He also speculated that European nations could face real revolutions in response to the crisis. Is Trump correct in his warnings that we could now be witnessing the end of Europe and real revolutions? What about America? The final warning in this story comes to us from G.M. Davis, who is not only an expert on Islam, but also tells us that America, too, is in deep trouble if all continues to go the way it's now going. G.M. Davis, an expert on Islam who directed the feature documentary Islam, What the West Needs to Know, and authored House of War, Islam's Jihad Against the World, praised the Republican frontrunner's strong stand against the Islamic invasion of Europe. At present, only Donald Trump seems willing to address the seriousness of the issues confronting the United States and Europe and the full implications of Islamic immigration and into non-Islamic countries. Whatever one makes of his delivery and tendency to personalize his criticisms, there's little denying that he grasps the big picture in a way that other candidates do not or are too afraid to express. His recent comments to the European press over the dire situation in Europe, where centers of Islamic power continue to send down roots and multiply, as well as a hysterical reaction on the part of much of Europe to his views, testifies both to Mr. Trump's competence on the issue as well as the inability of the European establishment to come to grips with reality. Davis warned Americans they will not be spared from the crisis. So what do you think about that, hijacker? What do you think of Trump's comments on these Muslim immigrants?
Right. Well, yeah, there is a second timeline with Obama where if they don't go Trump and the economic messiah card, then we're going to face the collapse. And that's a whole nother scenario. But I can tell you what happened it happened about 10 days ago, maybe 2 weeks. So this 13-year-old Russian girl somehow got kidnapped and was brought into one of these migrant camps of about 10,000. So for 2 days, I mean, like 100 guys. I mean, it was really, really bad what they did to this little girl.
It's disgusting.
Right. So finally what happened is the police caught wind of it, and they went in 10 or 15 strong, and they were able to get the girl, but they ended up getting chased out. So they brought the girl back, and so this Russian nightclub, they found out what happened to this girl. All these Russians. And so 400 Russian men grabbed pipes, baseball bats, tire irons, pipes, chains, and they went to that migrant camp and they completely ripped it down. They formed a line and they just drove. I mean, men, women, it didn't matter. These Russians were enraged, and they just cut right through that migrant camp, ripped it to pieces, so that everybody that was in there just had to flee their tents or wherever they were living, and just haul ass out of the thing. Anyways, the Russians completely ripped it apart, and now the Russians are mad at the Germans, calling the Germans a bunch of pussies because letting the immigrants do what they do to their women. So, yeah, you could see it. I mean, if I was in Russia, I think I'd be doing some deals with some guns. I think I would be running guns. That would be very lucrative right now. There's a lot of Germans right now. If they can get their hands on some weapons, even though it's illegal, I think they would buy. So Russians got a good market right now, and the Eastern Europeans. But no, it's all going to go bad, Deacon. You can't have different races, different cultures, different religions. We know all this stuff now. We can take a look over the last 50, 100 years of multiculturalism. Oh, even go back further than that. Native Americans. How did multiculturalism work out for the Native Americans with the white people? It doesn't work. It doesn't work anywhere. So, diversity, it's all just demonic dialectic. That's all it is. It's not going to work. So you can see Europe, what's going to happen. And if the Saudis, they do got 35,000 soldiers massed. Most of them are mercenaries from Nigeria, all over the world. Whoever wants a job and can handle a gun has got a little crew, but it doesn't matter if it's out of Bosnia, wherever. So it's not exactly a Saudi army. It's a Saudi, because the Saudis got like $8 trillion in reserve debt, U.S. dollars. They seem to be the biggest holders, and so they're going to use their reserves. But here's where the Saudis got a problem, Deacon, is that you can't defend pipelines. You can't defend oil refineries. So if they march that 35,000 army into Syria, not only is Russia going to increase the size of the bombs and the amount of planes, and literally start doing carpet bombing, there's going to be no match against the Russian Air Force. But then the Russians can turn around and say, look, Iranians, you got special forces. Can you start making sure their oil production cuts down? Can you cut their economic lifeblood off? And so then you can have a series of pipeline wars. And that's going to make the oil go back through the roof. But the Saudis are very precarious right now. They have factions, everything, inside their own government. And so it's a powder keg. It's like Dmitry Medvedev, who is I guess he would be now the prime minister of Russia. He says, everybody in the Middle East is fighting everybody. I heard somebody come over, I think it was with Gordon Duff and the Veterans Today. They said there's over 100,000 militias throughout the Middle East, in Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan, all those different, Egypt. Every block has got their own little gang, and in Lebanon it's really bad. You get a couple blocks of Hezbollah, and then you get a roadblock that goes into another area, maybe a Christian area. They got their militia, they got their roadblocks, then it goes into another area. It's just like, they want to say that you can hire a jihadist, a Muslim, for basically $100 a month and a carton of Marlboro or Camels or something. Everybody, Medvedev is right. Everybody's fighting everybody. It's just a nightmare, absolute nightmare. Go ahead.
Okay, well, just on that, Hijacker, I want to get your reaction to this, because I know that you're a Christian, and you've examined this from all the different angles: the Book of Revelation, the reptilians, the what do they call it, the false delusion, and all these other things. Let me read this. This is over at stevequail.com. Okay, this is from Steve Quail himself. Concerning Syria and the coming war of Russia versus NATO and its allies in 18 days. The event is unfolding, but the thing is still uncertain. I can't confirm the timing. It's up to every man and woman to hear from the Lord Jesus concerning this. Pray and intercede for God's intervention in our personal and family lives. It's 3:03 a.m. as I write this. I cannot shake the words suddenly and without warning in my spirit. Muslim eschatology and biblical end-time events are getting ready for the manipulated World War III, which will be used to initiate global war and upheaval. These events are necessary for the man of peace, the Antichrist, to appear openly on the world stage. Use all available efforts to secure food and water and other prep items necessary for your family this weekend. Do not tell skeptical neighbors or family members what you are doing. Just do it. May the God of all heaven, who loves you beyond anything of us can describe, lead you and guide you and protect you as you repent and totally surrender to Jesus and the cleansing power of the blood of the Lamb. I will update as I receive trustworthy info from sources that have been accurate in the past. Don't panic or fear. Thank God for his perfect peace to keep you as you put your trust in the God of victory and peace. Psalm 91, Steve Quayle. What do you think about that, hijacker, about this Syria and the coming war of Russia against NATO and its allies?
Yeah, right. Turkey's massing up. Right. I know what he's talking about. But so what Steve Quayle is talking about is another scenario. So we're at the fork. Either God in His mercy has granted us the delay in judgment, which back in September 23rd, so many massive dates, something should have happened to kick things off, but there was a delay. Uh, Something got brokered out in the spiritual realm. How long it goes, I don't know. Maybe Quayle's right. Maybe we only got a 6-month delay. Maybe this guy talking about March 23rd and 26th, there's supposed to be something then. Maybe that's all we got is 6 months. Or it could be that this guy Trump, he does have the anointing, and God's going to give us a delay of 2 or 3 years. That's what I believe. I believe we're actually watching, God take everything in a different timeline, and so when the actual end comes, there's going to be eating and drinking, marrying, one big party. And right now, we're not having one big party. We're in quasi depression, a solid recession. So then the other timeline is what Quayle's talking about. And that is, if they don't go the Trump, the tunnels, the economic messiah program, the Jews with a $10 trillion check, if they don't go that way, then there's only one other way they can go. And that is, they know the collapse is coming. That means before they let the whole thing fall and collapse, they're going to create a false flag, probably ISIS attacking power plants, maybe the Hoover Dam, could even be biological, definitely cyber attack on Wall Street. And then simultaneously, you get the Middle East kicked up, and then we go into the dark night of what Steve Quayle's talking about, and what Hawk talks about. I'm talking about another Hawk, the Luciferian dark night. So we're right here. And I just believe on this other timeline with Trump. I mean, I stacked up too many burlap bags of the honor and the crowns of glory. I ripped off their brow, their heads, the great and mighty of the earth. And I just stacked those burlap bags. 28 years I've been gathering this stuff. Just letting Gingrich rip me off, and then boom, reaching right in his chest and ripping his honor right out. Boom, that went in the burlap bag. Took his little crown of man's glory right off the set. Threw that crown in the burlap bag. And I just piled them all up around God's throne on the 23rd of September. And then boom, I got my delay in judgment. I'll never ask for it again. I mean, really, Deacon, if you think about it, we are openly now killing not only the unborn, but we're chopping their body parts up, cannibalizing it, selling it so that we have nice, pure skin cream, and all the things they use with baby body parts and brains and stem cells. So, like if we go the dark timeline, it's nothing I'm going to say. I'm not opening my mouth anymore. I did my deal. Trump's it for me. Once I can see he's got things locked up, it's going that way, then I'm pushing away. That's the end for me. My day's over. So yeah, do what Quayle says about it. Get your bullets, get your guns. I don't know what this 18 day is he's talking about. Does he say what happens in 18 days? Why does he say 18 days?
Let me look back here. He says the event is unfolding, but the timing is still uncertain. I can't confirm the timing. Then he goes into pray to God type of thing. he's saying that the end times are getting ready for the manipulated World War III used to initiate global war and upheaval. These events are necessary for the Antichrist to come on the scene. He just says 18 days concerning Syria and the coming war of Russia versus NATO and its allies in 18 days. So I don't know. You're right, though. I mean, the elites that are backing Trump, and make no doubt about it, Trump would not be where he's at far ahead if the elite weren't allowing him to get that far ahead. And they're also dumping on Hillary Clinton. And you're right. If the elite, the power brokers, think that Trump can stabilize things and are not ready for this yet, they'll pull back. There won't be World War III. And Trump himself or people representing Trump or in his camp or the ones that are pushing him to put him in power may get a hold of Putin and say, hey, Obama's out of his mind. He's going to be out of power in less than a year. Trump's going to be in. Let's hold off. Let's not pull the trigger on each other. Let's put Trump in. Let's cut a deal. Russians, you got that side of the world. You got your interests. We got our interests over here. Let's like two mob families. Let's sit down and slice up the pie and not have a war. That could be too. What do you think? You think Trump has communication over with Putin on that, hijacker?
Oh, they all talk to one another, Deacon. If you only knew the world of the elite, they used to have websites in which they would give themselves colorful names, like the Amazon Man, or like I got a handle. Nobody knows my name. I go under hijacker. But they all talk to themselves on these websites, and they call back and forth, and But if you take a look at the field, what do you got? No way they can do a Hillary. The country's not going to tolerate that witch. I mean, her campaign speech is yelling at you. So nobody's going to put up with that for 4 years. My God, talk about painful press conference. Sanders, he's a socialist. Do you think those Jews at the Federal Reserve are going to trust Sanders, who is also a Jew, with a couple $1 trillion to turn things around? They've seen Jews like that before. They are whacked out. I mean, the Jewish hardcore capitalists, they'll use Sanders to maybe bust down a nation or something like that, but they're not going to use him as an economic messiah. Cruz is a Canadian. Rubio's a lightweight. Jeb Bush, another Bush, really? So all you got left really is Trump. Or it goes to macabre. It goes to false flag, ISIS, rolling blackouts. It's going to go one way or the other, Deacon. I cannot see just dog paddling for the next, February? So January will be so another 11 months until another president takes power. I just don't see it. It's going one way or the other. That's for sure. We're at a fork. We're at a fork. And people, what Quayle ought to say is he ought to tell people to pray that God does have mercy and does delay judgment. I don't know how a Christian can pray that now, though. I mean, I did my deal. So 6 months, 7 billion people. So that's 3.5 billion people as far as time. So if there's 7 billion people, right, there's 7 billion people. Looks like we're getting feedback.
Okay, is Nighthawk here?
That was my fault. Is that better?
Yeah. Go ahead, give us an update.
Well, I was going to say, although it's more than 18 days, there's a pretty sizable meteor. I mean, it's not huge. It's twice the size that one that hit Russia, but it's going to be whipping awful close to us. And there's several guys doing Empress data out there that, put the impact or strike probability way higher than NASA's trying to tell us. But even on space weather, that's the smallest number I have ever seen. But, so if that thing came into a missile defense system, it could set off a war by accident. It's happened. It almost happened back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm not discounting, the whole Planet X thing. That's sort of lurking in the background. A lot of people talk about that and that type of thing, but I don't know. I mean, I know the Saudis have amassed a large army, and they're ready to invade Syria, and who knows? I mean, all kinds of stuff could be happening. So there we go.
Yeah, V's going to be on in 2 hours. V, the guerrilla economist in this panel in 2 hours on this station. Thank you.
Okay,
All right. God bless.
good
Bye bye.
enough. Say goodbye and have a good weekend. See you Monday. Goodbye.
All right, going to shut this and archive it as a single show. I'll be back here in not too long. Several updatey kind of things, stuff I found today. Applicable. Somehow we accidentally banned Anonymous Patriots the other night. I fixed that for you there, buddy. If we're still getting the hang of keeping that chat room under control. In a lot of ways, it's just uncontrollable. Sometimes you go to ban somebody. By the time you get your mouse to the target, it's gone. End up by accident banning somebody else. I'm gonna buffer this out and let it archive, and then we'll be back in a little bit.